Welcome everybody to another episode of Bottom of the Bill. We got Taylor Roberts on today. Before we get started, let's do the cheers like we normally do. Last night I forgot about this.
Here you go.
Cheers.
Just drinking DMD.
Before we get started with everything, also we got a couple shows to announce. We got May 2nd, we're doing Side Hustle's doing the Taco and Tequila Festival with LPT.
Yeah, man, it's gonna look.
Be Easy and Mandala and Ben Strock, the Full Electric.
That one looks really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Is LPT from Jacksonville?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
they're like a legit salsa band from Jacksonville.
Yeah, they're incredible. I just thought no offense, I just thought they were from South Florida.
Yeah,
That's just what they sound like.
Yeah, they do.
Exactly. But I had no idea that they're from here. I thought they came up here all the time.
Yeah, I went to school with a lot of those guys.
Yeah?
At UNF. Yeah, they're all most of them are just really, really close friends of mine I've known for years.
They're all super talented, man.
They are. They're all super talented and just super great human beings.
Yeah.
You know, just really good people.
And then December 3rd, we just announced that we're playing the Orange Blossom Review.
So mark it on your calendar. It's only 8 months away.
Mark it on your calendar. Just block the weekend out. Weekend of December 3rd in Lake Wales. I think that's like Central Florida. Not entirely sure yet, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's an outdoor. It's like a camping festival, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's the best time to go camping in Florida is December. So.
Yeah, and I think you got some stuff to announce too, right? Didn't they
No,
announce?
not yet.
No?
Not until it's officially announced. So.
They announced today.
What did?
I don't want to say it if I'm not allowed to say it, but
Hang on. Wait. Did they really?
They announced the lineup today.
I work the night shift, so I just woke up at 4 p.m. and then you came over. So I don't know
Good man.
If that's true, I gotta check it out.
Jesus Christ, Bill! I know more about your other bands than you do.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm also playing Friday, March 26th at the Garage from 9 to 1, and then Sunday, on March 28th at A1A Ale Works.
Oh, it did just come out. Yeah, Greenhouse Lounge is playing Orange Blossom
There
Jamboree.
you
Welcome
go,
back.
bud.
We were
All
supposed to
right.
play it. We were supposed to play it there last year, and it got canceled. But look at us, still got our slot.
There you go.
Didn't fall apart.
You got anything to announce, Taylor? Any shows coming? Well, this airs on Sunday, so whatever you got going on next week.
Well, every Monday I play at a restaurant in Neptune Beach called Mezzaluna from 6 to 9. Every Wednesday I'm at Ocean 60 from 6:30 to 9:30. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday every week I'm at Salt Restaurant at the Ritz-Carlton, Amelia Island. And that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5:30 to 9:30 every week.
Hell yeah.
So.
So we've been absent for a couple weeks because I got the Rona.
Yeah, what happened, bud?
Well, guess I wasn't as careful as I should have been. I masked up, most of the time.
No, you don't. That's such a lie.
I do mask up.
Yeah, when?
I did mask up.
Yeah,
I let it slip
your
a couple
alibi's
times.
falling apart.
I let it slip a couple times, and I think I know where I got it. I don't want to put them out like that because they booked me a lot.
Is it the place that I was playing with
Probably,
you at? I was
yeah.
sitting right next to him playing, and then you got sick from there. I didn't get it when it got tested negative.
Yeah.
They had another scare, negative again.
My immune system is shit, I guess.
I think
But
I
I got
just-
over it pretty quickly though. I had like 2 or 3 like real rough days, and I wouldn't even say like real rough. It was just like I couldn't, I was just sleeping all day, and then the cough and all that shit, and then I was pretty much over it and just lounging around for 2 weeks.
So do you think it's real now?
I never said it wasn't. I was not one of those guys.
Okay. All right.
Taylor doesn't know us very well, so when you say things like that, it puts a bad thing in people's head.
I think he understands.
It's all right. I've already judged both of you pretty hard. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, glad to be back on the podcast and working again for sure. So Taylor, you got a live album coming out, right?
I do. Release date is to be determined, but it was recorded live at the Blue Jay Listening Room a couple weeks ago. And, it was sold out, which, I mean, sounds impressive, but they're 50% capacity because of COVID. But still, it was a sold-out show. It sold out pretty quickly. Had a standing ovation, did an encore at the end, everything, man. It went really well. I feel really good about it.
Awesome.
You got to stand and go. That's dope.
What are the what's the experience like doing like a live album? Because like there's a lot of pressure to get it all perfect, basically? I mean, was your last album a live album, or was that?
No, last one was sorry to cut you up, but
No,
yeah,
no problem.
it was that was a studio album. There were several takes and mistakes I could fix, but yeah, this was kind of a double-edged sword because like I knew there would be I knew it wasn't going to be perfect, but at the same time, being that it's a live album, I think small mistakes are pretty much more forgivable than say a really well put together produced studio album.
So did you feel like more pressure while you were doing it, or was it just like you were able to just knock it out and not really think about it too much?
I think I was lucky because and I think other musicians can probably empathize with this to a degree, is that I go through phases where I really I just show up and play, and I don't really care about the outcome or what other people are thinking, or if I make a mistake or whatever. I just kind of let it go and let the music happen. But then there's phases I go through which are the exact opposite.
Totally.
Where I'm like overanalyzing everything, and like every mistake I make is the end of the world, and they're all judging me, and I'm a bad person because I rushed this song or whatever. Just stupid shit But I was thankfully in a good spot, at the time where I showed up and I played, and I felt good, felt a lot of love in the room, and yeah, it was a good time.
Nice, man. And how do you have like any plans to bring it to market? Is there like a strategy, or are you just gonna kind of put it out there and see what happens?
So I've got a really tentative rollout plan where so I had a camera crew come in too. There were 4 6K video cameras on me, and
Nice.
so I'm probably gonna start out just by releasing like either a teaser like reel, or maybe just like one song, and posting that to YouTube or the website or whatever, and just seeing what kind of traction that gets, and then gradually release each song, maybe 2 at a time, maybe 3 at a time, until the whole thing's out.
Okay,
So,
cool. If that's like an approach I feel like a lot of people are taking now.
What do they call it?
Releasing,
The
like,
cycles?
Cycles?
Yeah, that's what Nico was calling it from
Album
Real Time
cycles.
Management. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but the approach that Taylor's talking about is more of like releasing singles.
Sure, but I
Yeah.
mean it's the same sort of situation.
Yeah,
like
similar,
give them
yeah.
something new every like couple of weeks or whatever. Otherwise, if you put everything out at once, like people are like, whatever.
You blow your load, you gotta.
They'll be
backlog your
interested as long
content.
as it would take to be interested in one thing, and then move on. Yeah.
It's kind of the goal. That's what I'm seeing a lot of people doing. I mean, Silk Sonic, you guys I'm sure have checked out the new Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
God, it's
Unreal.
so good. Like,
Unreal.
I'd be okay if they took another month. I mean, I don't want them to, but like that song is just so freaking good. Like,
Yeah, it is.
just makes me clamoring for more. And when I try to approach what I do, I mean, I do kind of hold myself up to that standard in terms of marketing and quality of product. Honestly, I mean, I try to be as up with the times as I can be.
Yeah,
So.
I saw you're on TikTok now.
Oh my God, man!
Getting on the TikTok train. Me too,
Yeah,
man. You gotta
yeah.
do it.
I mean, I thankfully got some friends who do have my best interests at heart for expanding my career, and I guess it speaks to the attention span collectively of people who are listening to music. I mean, he's like, yeah, just post 30-second clips. That's all you need. It's
all
like,
you gotta
okay,
do.
well, that's easy, So.
It's cool because it like you don't have to deviate too far from your brand. You know what I mean?
Right.
To do it, it's like you can you have like your catalog of music that you do, and then you can do little snippets of that and talk about your gigs or whatever else it is that you're trying to promote.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool because I checked out the first album.
Okay.
And I really
Yeah.
enjoyed your interpretations of all like these pop tunes and
Thanks,
just
man.
different like the Beatles stuff was great too.
Thank you.
But it's cool because you're able to kind of do like you're doing like the Michael Jackson tune, and then you're just playing the bass line, and then you're playing like the melody, and then you're also like talking to everybody.
Oh yeah.
So like which is really clever how you talk about the multitasking thing.
Right.
That was really clever.
Right. Thanks, man.
But yeah, man, it's cool that you're able to kind of do that. I wish like with what we were doing, like a lot of the stuff that I do at bar gigs is like 90s alternative rock and stuff like that.
It goes over well, man.
It goes over really well, but it's not necessarily what I want to be putting out there as my brand,
Right.
like on the internet. You know what I mean? So it's like for me, I'm like in this weird place where I want to utilize TikTok and Instagram, and I made those accounts and everything. Instagram I've been on for a while, but it's like trying to add this new endeavor where you're like, okay, well, what is my brand going to be outside of the gigging and outside of side hustle?
Right.
Now we have to kind of carve out this other niche, and like where do you have the time and the energy to even do that when you're balancing all these other things, you know?
Yeah,
But
for sure.
no, it's cool, man, that you're able to do that. So is there anything different on this new album from the first one?
Well, I think my hope is that it's not going to be quite as rushed of a project. I mean, not to, say anything bad about the first album. I mean, I'm glad people are still enjoying it, but I was in such a hurry to have a product out there, because I didn't really have anything other than, my live gigs and my YouTube channel at that stage. So, I mean, having something physical that people could, purchase and listen to was important. But this one, I've got the guys from NFS Records.
Okay.
They did all the recording, all the videography, and I mean, they are the best in this area, this region, as far as I'm concerned, man. Ryan Leroy is just a wizard. I did a live stream down there a few months ago, like right after COVID hit, and it took him like 2 minutes to get the exact sound that I'd been looking for my entire career.
Really?
So, yeah, he's freaking brilliant, man.
No shit,
So,
man.
Yeah.
So are you like signed with some kind of deal with them, like a record deal, or is it just that they're just helping you produce the project?
So they're just producing right now. So
Okay.
it is going to be, at least for now, as of today, going to be independently released. So,
Okay, cool.
mhm.
Awesome. Sorry, as I take a sip of my beer real quick.
All good.
So I'm actually, something I'm really curious about is the publishing and writing stuff when you're releasing an album, because it's mostly covers on the album, right?
It is. Mhm.
So I've always been curious about what that process is like and how you make it so you're not getting sued by everybody.
It's expensive.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Definitely incentivizes me to write more because I don't have to pay licensing fees if it's
Right.
my stuff. But yeah, I mean, with my first one, there were only a couple originals on there, but it was kind of a long album. There's a lot of songs on it. So I mean, obviously that increases the cost of not just production but the licensing fees, which I went through. Disc makers, which I think they go through the Harry Fox agency.
Okay.
Which you pay a certain amount for the amount of products sold.
Okay.
So if there's a certain amount of downloads or streams or whatever, there's a fee. There's like a flat fee.
Oh,
And so if I wind up blowing up, I'll probably get a nice letter just saying, "Hey, you
By
owe
the
us
way."
this percentage of what you just earned."
Shit,
So
man.
it's part of the deal, man. I mean, it's the music business is. There's obviously good and bad things about it. But,
Totally. No, it's good for the artist, because if you're on the other end of that, of course you want to collect your
Shit,
royalties
man.
on that.
If I had written Billie Jean, I want to make some money off of that from other people covering
sure.
it. So
For sure. Cool. Well, you want to give us some background on how you got started and yeah, just your journey.
yeah. Well, I had a piano teacher come to the house when I was about 4. That was when I started piano lessons, and that kind of went off and on for some years. But I started picking out a lot of songs from records, and that was kind of like what kept me intrigued and kept me interested. And I think it was 94, 95 when Green Day kind of blew up.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to play drums, man, which you can't blame me for that. Trey Cool is one of the baddest like drummers in the world.
For sure,
but
man.
but my parents were smarter than that. They got me an instrument I could actually turn down while I was practicing. So I settled on guitar. I'm eternally grateful that I did, because I don't want to schlep a drum set to every gig that I play. But yeah, I mean, I played punk rock for about 2 or 3 years exclusively. I had this romantic idea that I would just be working drive-through gigs, in between, $50 shows at dingy hole-in-the-wall bars and stuff. And I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life. And but then the band broke up, and I was like crushed. And getting into high school, I was 15, and started getting into Led Zeppelin and B.B. King and Hendrix, and things just sort of expanded from there. But when I was 17, I had a friend convince me to play in the jazz band in high school. And that's when he introduced me to like Coltrane and Miles and Charlie Parker and Wes Montgomery, all of my, heroes to this day. And that's when I really went headfirst into jazz, and, got a nice scholarship to UNF. I guess you could say I'm still in the 30-year plan, because I've only got like maybe, I've got about 2 years worth of music classes under my belt. If I wanted to finish my degree, it would all be gen ed, and I don't really see much of a need for that.
Right.
With a bachelor's degree in jazz studies, I mean, if I wanted to actually utilize a degree in jazz, I would need a doctorate, because that would give me a chance to teach at a university or something like that, which I'm not really inclined to do at this stage.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not. I've been making a decent living at this for 15 years now, and I don't see any reason why I would need to go back to school.
Right.
So
especially to do something that you might not be passionate about. You know, teaching music and out gigging and writing records is a completely different dynamic. You know.
The last time I set foot on a UNF, I think it triggered some PTSD just from being
I can't go back there either.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's an academic environment that teaches bebop, which is already kind of counterintuitive. But yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, I'm friends with all my professors today, thank God. But like back then, man, I was this fragile little 18-year-old kid with like an easily, crushable ego. That I mean, my professors were not nice to me. They were not friendly, and looking back, I wouldn't have changed a thing. But back then, man, I was just like,
I'll say it. They're dicks there, man. I don't like them at all. Did you quit on your own accord, or did you fail out like me? Because that's what happened to me.
So
I'm not good.
Without going too far into detail, well, the last semester I had there, I mean, shit, we're on a podcast, it's an interview. Why not be candid?
Be candid.
That so this was the fall semester of 2009, and my dad had just gotten sick with pancreatic cancer, and so I just threw my head first into work and school, and so I took 10 classes that semester. They were all music classes, and some of them were 1 credit, some of them were no credits, but I needed 12 credit hours to keep my scholarship.
That's just preaching the choir. I did the same thing.
It's pure evil what they do over there. But so I was doing that. I was teaching guitar at FSCJ, and I was also working part-time at Starbucks. And in the meantime, just trying to, juggle a personal life.
I was teaching piano shredders, and I was delivering pizza at Papa John's, and I was working a night shift on top of it. And I was like, I'll take 12 classes, please. Thank you.
You understand.
And I had a healthy addiction to Adderall, and I failed out.
And
I was burned out.
Yeah, man. And, I mean, part of my story, and I'm not secretive about this, is I am in recovery. I've been clean for 9.5 years now. And but back then, my dad died. My professors failed me out of all my classes because I would have rather been by my dad's deathbed than show up for a fucking jury. You know, obviously it's still a little salty about that, but that ruptured my GPA, and my heart was broken. I decided to go out and just fuck everything, and went hard with the partying, man, in the worst way I'd ever had in my life. And so I was kind of floating around for about a year and a half until it finally got bad enough to where I was like, okay, I need to stop this or I'm gonna die. And it got really bad, and so thankfully I knew where to get help, and I still am very heavily involved in the recovery community, and so yeah, that was probably the best decision I've ever, even better than choosing to play music, because that getting clean literally saved my life.
Of course.
And it's caused my life to really sort of flourish since then.
What was your, if you don't mind me asking, what was your choice?
More was my choice. Yeah. If I never did it, it's just because it never got offered to me. That list is very short. I'll just say that. But yeah, I mean, it was just pretty much whatever I could get my hands on to escape the chatter, the hell that was going through my head. You know, I couldn't stay alone with my thoughts, man. It was too much.
Yeah, then binging on shit. And then dealing with those crashes doesn't make things any better either. Mm-hmm. It's that shit makes it it's one thing when you're partying and you're not thinking about it, but then you gotta deal with the fact that you're not all there to fight off those demons that are already there. Mm-hmm. So it's it's quite a dynamic. I've definitely struggled with shit like that in the past as well.
I walked out of UNF with I looked at it a little while ago. It was a couple years ago. A 1.3 GPA.
1.3.
Yeah.
Nice, right. Man.
I was pretty good. I was pretty good in my piano class, and that's
right.
it. Everything else, I couldn't read sheet music, so that was big. I don't even know how I got the gig. Honestly, I was I'll do music. And
Bill was in the classical program also.
Yeah.
Oh no shit. Okay.
So I couldn't read sheet music, so that was super.
That's the whole thing.
You sound like a guitar player.
Yeah, I know, right? And they're like, "Oh, you can." I'm like, "No."
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, it was a grind, man. It was like boot camp over there. So
yeah, but who needs it?
I don't
Nobody.
know. I mean, I figure if you want to make a living at playing jazz, you've already got enough self-hatred as it is. It's like, why invite that from an outside source?
Yeah.
Well, there's there's something about understanding your instrument in the way that a jazz musician does, that just kind of makes you, if as long as you branch out of the genre and you learn about other styles, it really helps you to master your instrument in a way that nobody else in any other genre can really do, you know, with that understanding anyways. Because it's, from my perspective, it's like the more stuff that you're just adding all this stuff to your wheelhouse. It's like, you know what to do in any situation when you're like, especially on guitar, just in my experience, when you're on the fretboard, you know, it's like, oh, well, I'm here, these are all my options while I'm here. Right. And then you internalize all those options, and then you can make them your own. And it's, I don't know, to me, it's always the jazz guys that leave jazz that have like the biggest influence on me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the sax player for the Rolling Stones is like one of the most killing jazz musicians in the world.
Yeah,
but he's, you know, and he plays a lot of that shit live.
Carl
with them,
Denson.
Yeah, I think is that in it?
Yeah, that's who's doing it now. Yeah,
so, yeah, and he's just a badass, man.
He's
but
an
like,
animal.
But what I've noticed is that you know, once I managed to sort of emerge from that jazz snob bubble, you know, like I realized that like I finally came to terms with like, you know, these people aren't gonna put down their filet mignons and give me a standing ovation for playing some fucking altered dominant scale, you know what I mean? So like, but yeah, I mean, once I started playing, you know, Jack Johnson tunes and stuff that people were requesting, it was like, oh, maybe this is like how I can make a living at this, and this is why people are starting to call me more, and you know, and I learned to love that stuff, you know. I mean, I love Jack Johnson, you know, I love John Mayer, I love obviously Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak and all.
Tell Bill about
Bruno
John
Mars
Mayer.
and Anderson .Paak are great.
Yeah.
Billy thinks John Mayer sucks.
Okay,
that's what he told me.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's just annoying.
Have you ever learned any of his tunes?
Yeah, we play a couple of them.
Which ones?
No.
Waiting for the World to Change.
Okay, which one? Well, what else?
That
one's pretty. I mean,
pretty mild.
Yeah,
by comparison to some of his.
Stitched Up. That's another one.
Uh-huh.
Him and Herbie Hancock.
What's
another
the other
pretty
one
mild
called?
One.
The I don't need no doctor. Do you know that one?
With him
Okay.
and Schofield.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, man. I had this
It has
built-in.
nothing to do with his guitar playing. It has to do with his
It's not about
whole
his-
demeanor and singing and voice and everything.
His songwriting is what's impressive more than his guitar playing is great, but his songwriting is where it's at to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would put them both up there. I mean, as a guitar player, he's just one of the baddest motherfuckers out there. But
He's
like,
great, yeah.
But like, I have this built-in aversion to, and maybe you guys can identify things that become really popular really quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and he was just like this. You know, I think No Such Thing was his first big hit.
Yeah, which is
And I was like, who's this freaking pretty boy with an acoustic guitar playing like 3 chords or whatever? It's like, man, fuck that guy. And then, but everybody's like, no, he's a guitar god. He's amazing. And
yeah.
it's like, whatever, man. I put that away for a couple of years, and then I saw him on Austin City Limits, and he was playing Gravity, and he took like a 3-minute long solo, and I was like, holy shit. Okay, you guys were all right, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
He's incredible. And so I mean, I've learned a lot of his songs. I learned Neon, like that one. I feel like is sort of like his guitaristic sort of Mount Everest, you know,
Totally,
that like
yeah.
most people want to learn how to play. But
No Such Thing is another one, man, that's very, very overlooked. I feel like 'cause I learned that one a few months back.
Okay.
And the changes on that are just insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not even that they're like crazy chords. It's just like, why would you think to play it this way, and why would you think to go to this place with it? You know, like it's just it like I'm obsessed with people that just like take songs like random places. It's why I like 70s R&B so much. Is it's like they'll be like vamping on one chord, and all of a sudden they're just going like they'll move it like half a step up and make it a minor or some shit. You're just like, what? And why does it sound good? You know what I mean?
I need to revisit that song, man. I got to probably learn that one.
It's a good one.
You know.
I think I just don't like him because he's so soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. You can write a banger or something. It's just like every single one is like a slow dancing song at a wedding. Every single one of them.
Fair enough.
It can't be that.
Fair enough.
All
I'm
right.
just like, all right, okay.
Well,
that's on Family Guy. They just wrote on graffiti.
That's enough,
That's
John
enough,
Mayer.
John Mayer. Like, okay, like we get it. We get
I was
what you
thinking
are.
about that the whole time
Yeah.
we're talking about
I'm
it.
just like, yeah, that's my whole deal with them.
Yeah.
He's a great guitar player. I mean, he fit in great with the Grateful Dead, and
Yeah,
he took off with that.
Yep.
That
So
was
I'm not knocking that he's a bad guitar player. I'm not saying that.
no, I know that's not what I'm not arguing his guitar
Just shut
skills.
up,
I'm
is all I'm
arguing
trying
his
to say.
songwriting skills.
Stop.
That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm
Stop.
talking about.
Or maybe, dude,
See, man, if I may, like that brings up a lot of things for me, and I'm not like saying this to try and like act like I'm better there, but like, you know, as a guy who loves traditional jazz like Miles and all that kind of stuff, I see somebody like Kenny G, and I want to set him on fire.
Yeah.
But when I think about it, you know, the more I talk to sort of like my mentors and my elders, and I'm just like bitter and resentful about like, how is this guy a millionaire? He can't even fucking play in tune, and like, you know, but what this one guy told me is like, you know what? He found something that works for him, and he capitalized on that.
Right.
So who am I to like judge or be angry with him about that? We're all trying to just make it in this business right now.
Yeah.
I don't listen to his music, you
Right.
know? But I'm not gonna be like, fuck that. I mean, he's not losing any sleep over like a Facebook post. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like, he's probably wiping his tears with $100 bills. But
Well, it's like also I feel like there's this other element to being a musician, or really beyond musician. Like there's this other element to being an artist, you know, and like what that entails. Like there's this whole thing about like finding, like you're saying, Kenny G found something that worked for him, and he kind of doubled down on it. But that's become part of his brand, and I think that's what makes him a great artist, is understanding what his niche was and understanding his brand,
Yep.
marketing that brand, and then selling millions of records. And it's like, you know, that it's beyond just your ability to play. There's this whole thing that's enveloped in being an artist, and when you pull all of those things off and you're a mediocre player, it's like you're still a great artist.
Yeah.
You know.
yep.
And that's something I've learned only within the last year or so. Honestly, it took me a long time to come to terms with that idea, but that's just what it is.
And I think that's something that every recovering fine arts major sort of has to come to terms with. And it's not even really just, you know, limited to that. I mean, people who put all their blood, sweat, and tears into learning their instrument, you know, practicing 8 hours a day for years, like, then they see somebody like that, it's like, fuck that guy, you know. But yeah, I mean, if we spend all the time we spend, like anybody, you know, trying to master our instrument, and you know, and we see people who don't do that become popular and get all these accolades, you know, there's immediately like, well, why did I waste my time doing that? You know?
Right.
But then again, it's luck. I mean, Duke Ellington's got one of my favorite quotes, man. I mean, somebody was asking him what he attributes his success to, and he says, I think it's 90% luck. It's being in the right place at the right time, playing the right music for the right people, you know. And that's what happened with Kenny G, you know.
Right.
I mean, that's what happened with Duke Ellington. That's what happened with Miles,
Right.
and all those guys, you know. So
Right place, right time, and they were prepared for it. You know. That's,
Yep.
Was it when opportunity meets preparation, or preparation meets opportunity? That's like the definition of luck.
exactly.
I mean,
love that
it's-
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone was going off.
Good,
Forgot
man.
to silence it. All right, so I want to talk to you about like studying under Barry Green and all Keith Javor. Is that how you say it?
Javers.
Javers.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and he produced for like a bunch of jazz artists, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also Bunky Green.
Yeah.
So what was
Funky.
like studying under these guys with the accolades that they have?
So I was really lucky during those years there was like this nest of guitar players, man. We were all like buddies, but there was still like an underlying like competition.
Sure.
Like I'm gonna get that place in that band and like all this kind of stuff. But Barry, Keith, and Bunky couldn't have been any more different, but couldn't have been any more critical for my development at the time. Barry was there to tell me exactly how it is, not sugarcoat anything. You know, if I sounded like shit, he'd tell me I sounded like shit. You know. But if I sounded good, you know, he would compliment, and if every compliment I got out of him, like I ate up, because I knew he wasn't blowing smoke. He was never one to do that.
Yeah.
And it took like over a year for me to actually get him to say like, "Hey, man, you sound great." It's like, thanks. You know?
It means a lot. We have to work for it like that.
But and then Keith and Bunky, I kind of just did these sort of independent studies with. I essentially bugged them until they were like, "Okay, yeah, come to my office. I got this time slot free." And
What kind of studies were you doing?
man, it was just sitting down and playing with him. You know,
Okay.
Keith is just one of the baddest piano players around, and he ran the jazz ensemble one, the top band there, and he whipped those guys into shape. It was like every rehearsal I saw him walk out of, it was like boot camp. They'd just be like exhausted and just like, you know. But you listen to the records, man, and like that's some of the highest level playing of any band. Forget about like collegiate level band. I mean, those guys are just knock it out of the park, man. Some of them still live here in Jacksonville, and they're still crushing it. But Bunky is just like, man. Like I get like almost emotional like talking about him. He's like Yoda, you know what I mean? He's like he's just got like such a warm like sort of essence about him, and the couple of times, literally just 2 lessons I had with him were like I will never forget how it went and just how much value it had. I came in, barely any words were spoken. He's sitting at the piano. He's a sax player.
Yeah.
But he's sitting at the piano. He's just like, hey, you know, and like he'd start playing, and then I'd start playing, and if I caught onto something he was doing, he's like his face would light up. He'd be like, yeah, you know, and just keep playing. And that was what the lessons were.
Yeah.
And that was just like a spiritual experience, man. I mean, regardless of how limited my interactions with him was, where it was just. Yeah, it was just one of those really magical kind of connections I was able to make with somebody, however limited it might have been. And Keith was a hard ass too, but like there was still like at the end of the day he'd just be like, yeah, man, you know, like he would still be really encouraging.
Yeah.
Not that the other guys weren't, but yeah, he would call me out. He was not shy about calling me out on shit that I needed to work on.
I think that's an important thing when you have mentors or teachers that you're learning from, that they have to be able to call you on the shit. Otherwise, you don't really learn.
Oh yeah,
you know, like music is fun. Don't get me wrong, but like it's really. Billy and I had this discussion recently where it's like, to me, it's really fun when you're nailing it. You know,
yeah. And
you only nail it when you do the work.
Yep.
And all the bullshit in the back end, like practicing and, you know, taking the shit from people that are mentoring you, or whatever it might be, like taking the shit and going through it and then doing a show and nailing it. That to me is like when it's the most fun. I hate when I'm bombing. Like I don't want to be playing at all when I'm bombing. Yeah. Billy, you have a bit of a different perspective though, right?
So what was my perspective? I kind of forgot.
You forgot your perspective.
I'm dead serious. I just don't want to get it wrong.
What you were saying, like, it's like you just want to be playing. All it doesn't matter. Like you just want to play. And
I guess, but that's kind of different. I think that has to do with like where, like, you don't care. Like I get as much fun playing at a festival that I do at playing at A1A Aleworks to like nobody. So I just want to play. Period.
Yeah.
But, I don't.
Well, because we were talking about like,
I think that. Okay, that's what it was. And then that kind of mindset makes you be like, oh, if you bomb on stage, you're like, it's just another show. Like that's the end of it.
Yeah,
it's
but
the end of the world.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about, because we were like, I get so like especially when we're doing like festival shows or we're doing showcases or opening sets for bigger bands. Yeah. I get like, I'm a nervous wreck beforehand. You know,
I get that
because I know that we're first off, people are there to see your product, and the judgment on that product is scary, because you're writing this music and you're putting it out there. And also the other bands with musicians that are probably very good are watching you and they're judging you as well.
Oh yeah.
And in my head, I'm just like, oh man, this is a lot of pressure. And Billy's point is like, it's supposed to be just fun. Like just music is fun.
Yeah.
And my whole thing was like, well, I'm enjoying it when I'm crushing it.
Yeah. If
I'm bombing in front of these people, it's not fun, and that's why I become a nervous wreck beforehand, because I know it can go one of two ways. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of with you. Like, yeah, obviously, if like every time you went on stage you bombed, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, yeah, you're in your own head way too much.
Totally.
And so why are you even doing it then?
That's
what I'm trying to say.
I don't want to work a regular job.
Yes.
That's what it is.
That's absolutely what it is.
That's what it is. And yeah, just deal with the awful hanging cloud over your heads about it, messing up all the time.
See, man, like I can totally respect like being so zen about it,
exactly.
like, and that's a place that I am able to get to sometimes, like if I'm lucky, like with the recording, and like we played the Jazz Fest a few years ago, and like beforehand we're just like cutting up and telling jokes, and I was just like, there's all these people out there. I was like, man, fuck those people. Let's just go play some music, and I didn't have a care in the world. But then there's been times like at other venues where again, I'll just not really be in a great mind frame, and that can just affect everything, like every single note that I play. And
totally.
and I'll just feel like I totally bombed and just like want to get the fuck out of there as quick as I can after it's over.
Man, it's funny to me to hear guys like you talk about bombing or anything like that, because I watch what you're doing and I can't even do like a fraction of the shit that you do, and I'm just like, what does bombing look like to somebody like this? Or it's like when guys like I hear Eric Krasno. He played guitar with Lettuce in a band called Soul Live as well.
Okay, yeah.
He has a podcast, and he talks about bombing all the time, or like listening back to himself and saying how I wish I would have played less notes, or like I've never listened back to myself and thought I should have played more notes.
Yeah,
shit like that.
I can
I'm just like,
with that for
I'm
sure.
just like, what to people like that? Like Krasno is one of my idols. You know, it's like, what does bombing look like? I've never heard the guy bomb.
Right.
You know, I'm very critical of guitar players.
But that just proves my point even more, man. If like the top guy is still going like, oh, I still bomb and everything like that, that's what you got to think. Everybody bombs.
I guess, yeah.
And so what's the big deal? Have fun, and you probably won't bomb as much, or at least not care or think that you're bombing. I don't know. It's all
perspective.
You're your worst critic, so
totally.
Be nice to yourself, and you might have more fun doing it.
Anyways, on this episode of Therapy with Anton.
That's good though, man.
That's
an important topic. I think that's critical for every artist to sort of explore and unpack. Is like, what's the end game here, and like what's causing, like, why did I get into this in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, at the first place, I mean, a lot of us just wanted to have fun and thought it would be fun. For me, it was an escape. You know, and still is to a degree, which I'm sure most other people can identify with. But like, yeah, there's always that sort of, you know, sort of like voice in the back of your head, that extra little personality that's like telling you that like, no, that sucked, don't do that. You know, that's something that everybody struggles with, I'm sure.
Yeah, so. Definitely, man, definitely. Hey everyone, just wanted to take a second to talk to you about one of our favorite music venues, Blue Jay Listening Room. Blue Jay is a space for true music lovers where every ticket is a backstage pass. Silence your cell phones, enjoy a nice glass of wine or craft beer, and be part of an intimate experience unlike anywhere else in Jacksonville. Hear national and local artists sing their original songs and share the stories behind them in a space carefully curated for the premier show-going experience. I personally have seen some of my favorite shows here, as well as having played with some of my heroes. Not only is Blue Jay a wonderfully unique experience, it has become a staple in the Florida music scene. Mention Bottom of the Bill on your next visit and receive 10% off your tab. Blue Jay is located at 2457 3rd Street South, Jacksonville Beach, and be sure to check out www.bluejayjacks.com for news, ticketing, and events. Okay, so I want to ask you, you've done some touring.
A little bit, yeah.
With Christian Tamburr, that's how you say his name?
Tamburr, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I checked out this guy's catalog, and he's an animal.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
So does he play drums also, or he's just mostly percussion?
He does. I think he would say, and I don't want to misspeak on his behalf, but I've heard him play drums, man, and he plays his ass off. That's not really his main instrument, but his main instrument is vibraphone, but he also plays piano, like, brilliantly, man.
Nice.
And he's, thankfully, you know, we befriended each other back in Gainesville. We did a studio session down there with a vocalist, and that was like 2005, maybe 2004. And then we reconnected. It was like right after I moved back to Jacksonville in 2009. He calls me up. I was in the store, so I didn't have my phone with me, which sounds strange. Everybody's always got their phone with them.
Right.
But I go back to the car and I get this voicemail. He's like, "Man, your ass better be awake because I got something good for you." And it was a cruise ship gig, which was only 3 weeks long, which is not normal. I mean, most cruise ship gigs are like 6-9 months. Yeah, and you're stowed away in the sardine cans at the bottom of the ship. You can't fraternize with guests.
Yep.
You eat, like, you know, cafeteria food.
Sometimes you got to do cleanup duty also. I've had friends that do that on ships.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Doing all the safety measures and the, what do they call them, the safety protocols. But yeah, we had guest status on the ship, man. And it was Regent Cruise Lines, which I'd never even heard of. But they're like... They don't have to advertise, man. They're like, they're absolutely like top of the top.
They're like the Rolex of cruise ships.
Absolutely. And
Nice.
it was like a Ritz-Carlton on the water, basically. And so, went and met him down at his penthouse in Merritt Island. We drove from there to Orlando. Flew from Orlando to Atlanta, then flew from Atlanta to Tokyo, which is where the ship started. And we got to spend a few days there, just hanging out and like doing the tourist thing. And So we boarded the ship. We played maybe 14 nights out of the 20 or so nights we were out. So it was a paid vacation, man.
Oh, wow.
They had a jazz club built into the ship. And, like, yeah, man, I mean, 5-course dinners every night and just like having fun the rest of the time. And
That's
so
awesome.
That spoiled me, man. It's like I never want to take another cruise ship unless it's that or like
Yeah, I can
better
imagine,
from now
man.
on. So
And that was your experience touring with Christian,
with Christian, yeah.
Christian, okay. Yeah, so were you guys doing his original compositions, or were you guys doing like interpretations of songs?
So it was mostly, it was mostly standards, like some more modern stuff, like Pat Metheny tunes and that kind of stuff too. But
Okay.
but we had a vocalist, so it was a quintet. It was him on piano or vibraphone, me on guitar, obviously. Ian Goodman, who's I think he's a UNF grad. Yeah, on drums. Elisa Pruitt, another UNF grad, on bass, and then Susie Park was the singer.
Okay.
But yeah, we all got along great, man. We all had snowball fights in Russia and all that kind of shit.
Nice.
So, but
Are you still in contact with anybody from that?
Christian, definitely. We did a little remote collaboration recently. It's just it was just a fun little thing we did, and but yeah, he's probably the one I'm still more regularly in touch with than the rest of the group. But
Nice. You
yeah.
planning on doing any more touring with him?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so, man, because, I mean, the dude is just, he's a great friend, man, first and foremost, but he's super connected. Like, he's in the circles with the Marsalis family. And
Right.
Like, jazz at Lincoln Center. He was the music director for Penn and Teller.
Oh, no
He was a
shit.
music director for Julio Iglesias for years. He toured the world with him.
Wow.
And so, the dude's he's a go-getter, man, and he'll say, like, if your instrument is vibraphone, it's not like your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. So you got to go make it, like, make your scene yourself.
I
you
hope
know, so.
I hope Aaron listens to this one, because Aaron, our drummer Aaron, you know Aaron Plotz?
I've heard the name. I don't know if I know him personally, but
So
it sounds familiar.
He plays drums with us, but his real, I think more of his real, I don't want to speak for him, but I think more of where his passion lies is in percussion and
Okay.
vibraphone and marimba and that kind of stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful instrument. Man.
Yeah,
Both
man.
of those are awesome.
He does some really cool shit with it too. He does not so much of the jazz stuff, but like he's just got like a just very melodic and like cool way of doing what he does with it. And his like understanding of playing drums kind of gives him like a cool rhythmic approach to some of the stuff that he does. And but yeah, I know he's been trying to get some more work like that and trying to find like where he fits with it all. And it's just one of those things where you got to just kind of make the thing happen yourself, you know.
For sure.
Because there's not really, like you said, there's not really a lot of opportunities for people that are playing those kind of instruments.
I agree, and I guess guys like you and me are pretty lucky because we play guitar. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of the most accessible to the listener, anyway, to the average listener, instruments out there, and but at the same time, I mean, being that I come from a pretty strong jazz background, that only constitutes about 10% of what I play.
Right.
But people look at me and they look at the guitar, they see the suit and the F holes and the arch top. It's like, well, all he plays is jazz. I had one gig. It was just a private party, and it was at this venue where I was also trying to get a steady gig at. And I didn't play any jazz standards, man. I was playing like Britney Spears and Katy Perry and Coldplay and like all this other kind of stuff. And the lady in charge of booking was like, "Well, do you play anything other than jazz?" I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I just played "Baby One More Time." That's not, But
well, cause it's also the sound
It is,
sonically.
yeah.
It sounds like jazz. Like
Yeah.
I would even knowing that you were playing a pop tune, I would probably still call it jazz, just because.
yeah.
It's just like also some of the chords that you're playing are like maybe not traditionally what they'd be using in those songs, so you might be playing them a
Right.
little bit differently.
Yeah.
And so you definitely do your own interpretation of the tunes.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely got the accent. I can't seem to escape that. And yeah, I used to try so hard to like break out of that label of like jazz guitarist. Like, man, come on, I do other things, but like it's like whatever people want to call me is like that's on them, whatever.
Yeah.
I play guitar.
Yeah, I feel and I'm
So-
sure you can play whatever you want, like especially when you're not playing like playing by yourself, or like you're playing like what kind of guitar are you playing?
Well, the guitar I mainly play is a Benedetto 7-string.
7-string,
arch
right?
top, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
but you probably like can fit into a band situation
Yep.
in any style that you want to if you needed to.
I've played with wedding bands. I played with one wedding band called the Royals for a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
years, and
Does Dave Smith played drums. David
he
Smith
was
played
playing.
drums.
Yeah,
Okay,
I love Dave, man.
He's one of the best guys that I know.
Yep. Yep.
like insanely nice.
Mm-hmm.
I actually talked to him this morning on the phone for a while.
Is he helping you with your finances?
He
too?
is helping me with my finances. He's helping you too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's
Shout out to David Smith.
Yeah, David
one of
Smith. Look him up. He'll
one
get
of the
your
best
money
drummers
right.
and also one of the nicest guys out there.
It's almost like, man, what's your agenda? Why are you being so nice to me? But anyway, yeah, he was playing drums. Troy Buchanan, Billy Buchanan's son,
Okay.
was the music director and bass player. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was party music, and once I had all the repertoire memorized, there's something so satisfying about like turning on the tube screamer and playing palm muted power chords,
Yeah,
like,
man.
and then seeing people have the best night of their life, arguably,
Totally.
out in front of you, and so.
Hopefully, anyways.
Hopefully, yeah.
Also could be the start of the worst nightmare of their life.
True. Very true. Yeah.
Man,
we could talk about that if you want. That's a whole nother therapy session.
You're right.
Yeah, I've been there, man. So.
Oh man. Bill and I did a wedding band real briefly. I think
Did we play any weddings?
we played. Sorry, we
can't
played,
really call it a wedding
We
band if you
played
didn't play a
one
wedding.
corporate gig with them, and then we played
Okay.
one bar gig in preparation for the corporate gig.
We played what was it, that Irish place off of Atlantic Boulevard on the beach for St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. Well, then we played the one other gig, the corporate gig with them.
Yeah, we made more money on that one, but the funny story about that is they were so bad, so bad, and they were like, well, just to get it right, we'll play the karaoke track behind every song and then put it on the PA. I've never seen a band do this before.
Wonderful.
And
Okay.
then we were supposed to like just play on top of it.
Well, and it was hard
Everyone
because
loved it.
It was
seriously, everyone loved it. It was
You know,
ridiculous.
I'm not mad. Why
I
not,
played a
right?
solo on one of the songs though,
Oh, yeah.
and like
a
I
great
wasn't 100% on exactly how they played it on the record. So I'm playing it, and all of a sudden I hear the other guitar solo going on behind me. I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Fuck."
Oh God.
Nobody noticed. God,
No.
that band was so bad.
Do you have a story? You look like you're about to tell a story about a nightmare moment.
Oh, I was more just thinking about like what we had with the Royals, but now that you mentioned that, let me think. I got a few. The first one of the first live shows I played was at a place called the Civic Media Center in Gainesville, and
Okay.
we didn't get paid anything. I was like 14, but I figured we'd go in there and sound as good as Green Day, if not better, and like the sound was all wonky, and I had a shitty little Fender solid state amp, and there were just a bunch of drunk assholes who showed up, and they were throwing shit at the stage, and I was like
No.
trying to pick it up and throw it back at them, and just like it turned into just this clusterfuck. Which I mean, everybody's had those experiences, but I'm trying to think of like, I don't know, man. I guess I'm pretty lucky that I haven't had like. Well, no. Okay, so I take that back. This wasn't a gig. This wasn't like a paid gig, but it was the last time I was in New York. It was, 13 years ago, and went to a place called Cleopatra's Needle, where they have like jazz jams every night that go till the sun comes up, And so we're walking up there, and I hear this trumpet player, I was told that Wynton goes and hangs out there. Wynton Marsalis hangs out there on a regular basis. I hear this trumpet player. I was like, oh, that's got to be him. Walk in, and there's a 14-year-old kid just
Wailing.
fucking killing it, man. I mean, tearing the hair off of everybody's head. And I was like, gulp, here we go. I got my guitar on my back, and I'm just like, all right, let's go play some music,
Oh my God.
And so I'm sitting in the back. I'm like losing my mind, like just nervous as hell. And the band leader, who was letting somebody else play drums, he nudges me. He's like, hey, kid, you gonna go play? It's like, yeah, sure, and so they call this tune, this old standard called Just One of Those Things. And they called it at a New York tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
I
no.
never heard it. I never learned it. I never played it. And I just ate dog shit that, in front of everybody. And like everybody knew, and like my friends were there, and they were trying to be supportive. But that was like one of those formative experiences where like the whole cab ride back to Brooklyn, I was like, man, maybe I should just apply at Tulsa Welding School or something. It's like this. At least there's a future in that. But no, I made a point to learn that song in all 12 keys, and
Nice.
eventually once I got over myself. But that was like, when you mentioned sort of nightmare musical moments, that turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because it was painful, it was embarrassing, it was humiliating, but it was formative at the same time,
Well, you can
So-
turn those situations into something positive
Yeah.
if you use them as learning experiences rather than like the worst fuck up of your life. You know what I mean? I've had times where I've gone to jams and just like not know what's going on stage.
Right.
And either you go back and you learn the tune and then come back knowing the tune, or you just don't go back to the jam.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because like you don't want to go
Exactly.
back and be in the same position again.
Right.
Like you get like one kind of get out of jail free card with that.
Yeah.
They let you come back and you're like, okay, we'll see where you're at now.
Yeah.
And then if you can't hang again, it's like, what are you even doing?
Yeah. Go home and practice.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So.
Well, thankfully, I mean the scene I've come across in Jacksonville is really supportive, man. And I don't know if you've been down to the Blue Jay,
I love
the jazz jam
She's
down
actually
there.
they're one of
Kara.
the sponsors of the show.
No shit. Hey,
Yeah.
Kara. How you doing, love? That's like my sister, man.
She's awesome.
That's my heart. So, but yeah, they have the funk jam that 3 hosts, and then the jazz jams every Tuesday. And what I've noticed is that, like, I play in the house band, and like there's kids who show up. I mean, UNF students, and then amateur like adults, and I mean, whether or not they can play a lick, it doesn't matter. Like, they're so supportive. It's
Yeah.
still really encouraging. I mean, yeah, please come back and play anytime. And you don't get that everywhere.
No, definitely not.
And
It's a little
so-
bit more cutthroat in the bigger cities.
Yeah, for sure.
I went to one of the jazz jams at Blue Jay. I'd say it was a few months back. And Stefan and Stan were part of the house band. I forget
Yep.
who was playing keys. He was really good though.
Probably either Jonah or Aaron or Josh. Anyway, yeah, might have been Scott.
I just
A bunch
like,
of 'em.
yeah, I'm so blown away when I see Stefan and Stan do their thing, man.
Crazy,
like,
man.
One of the best rhythm sections in that. I mean, just in general, but also just in that style of music. They're
Yeah.
they just take it to so many different places, and they just never lose each other. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're not afraid to get as weird as they want, man. And
Yeah.
and that's the cool thing about playing with those guys, especially, is like, if I want to go somewhere, they'll take me there and then push me even further.
Yeah.
And even if I feel like I'm getting pushed off a cliff or whatever, they'll still just like, all right, come on, they'll
bring
they
it
won't
back
like
in.
railroad me. They'll take me back in if I get lost or whatever.
Yeah.
But which is easy to do with guys of that caliber. But
I played, speaking of nightmare moments, I played a jazz fest with them. It was Stefan, Stan, and John Parker Urban.
okay.
And it was a night, they all played great. It was a nightmare for me because like I again had one of these moments where I just got like in my own head. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm up here with some of the best players in town, and there's like all these people here from Jazz Fest, and it's like I better like be as good or I'm gonna look like an idiot. And I bombed. They were all very nice about it and everything.
Sure,
but
sure.
I bombed. It was like embarrassing. And John's like, look at me, take a longer solo. I'm just like, please take this away from me. Just you go.
I get it, man. I get it. And
But
I mean, I'm sure I'm saying the same thing Billy would probably say, is like, I promise you it's not as bad as you're telling yourself it was.
For sure.
I mean, when something Charlie Hunter told me is like, when I'm playing, I hear things that nobody else is hearing, and then they're hearing things that I'm not hearing at the same time.
That's
And
very
so,
true. Good point.
I don't know.
What was it like working with him, by the way? You did like a master class kind of thing with him here?
Well, no, yeah, that was when I first met him in person, but I had been like following his music and stealing everything I possibly could from him for years before that. But he did a concert at Cork, and he did a master class for a bunch of guitar players before that. And that was when I finally got to meet him in person, and I tried not to fanboy too hard. I'm sure I probably did, but he was super nice, man, and we kind of became friends over the years, and I wound up opening for him a couple times in Gainesville, and we got to hang out, and we still talk occasionally. But another guy who's just like almost suspiciously friendly,
Really?
like he's that good of a guy, But yeah, he's been super encouraging, man, throughout the whole thing, and
He's been working a lot with what's her name?
Lucy Woodward.
Yes,
Yeah.
man. She is so
Fantastic,
good.
man.
I
Yeah.
saw her with Fork in
Oh, okay,
1904
yeah.
a few
Yep.
years ago.
Yep.
Oh my God, man! And like the album that they put out right around that time. Like every song was just so melodic and just was just a great band, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish they were doing more stuff.
What's the dude's name? The keyboard player.
I can't remember his name.
Oh man, I'm gonna.
But they had Adam Scott, or not Adam Scott. Adam, what's his name? Adams. He was from Atlanta. He was playing bass. He was
Okay.
Adams. I can't remember his full name right now. And then I forget the drummer's name also. and the guitar player from Snarky Puppy.
Right.
And that's not Mark Lettieri, the other guy.
Right.
And yeah, man, it was quite a show. And she came in and sat in on a few tunes. That's what I was getting at with that. She's such the album that she put out recently, or a few years within the last year or two, is also pretty badass.
She's just, I mean, as it seems to be the case with most most of my musical heroes that I meet, or just most of the real top tier musicians, they're all just like such sweethearts on top of that. You know? And Lucy's no different. Charlie's no different. I mean, they're all just such nice people, and that's been like 95% of my experience with meeting people of that, you know, in that sort of category. And
so then you don't buy into the idea of never meet your idols, then?
Not really, man. There's been one guy. That's it.
Really,
really, out of
everybody. You want to say his name?
No, absolutely not. But no. I don't know if you know Doug Karn.
I don't think so.
Organ player, piano player, jazz legend. He lives down in St. Augustine. Another guy who's kind of off the radar, but we worked together for years, and I was expressing that to him, you know, and just how like all my heroes, they all seem to be really humble and, you know, just cool. And he just looks back. He's like, yeah, you know, music's humbling, man. This shit'll knock you on your ass. You know? I was like, yep, all right, yeah, you got a point.
But also, if you think about it, it's like you can't get very far, specifically in that genre, if you're not like a decent human being, because there's nothing else really keeping you afloat. It's like the music itself isn't going to be enough to get you there. But if you're in the pop world, you can kind of get away with being a complete douchebag, because they know that if you're marketable, you can sell the shit, so it doesn't matter. But in jazz, it's like, no one gives a fuck about the music that you're playing anyways, so you better be like a decent human being. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere in this industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in the limelight as a pop musician, being a douchebag is almost like a selling point. You know?
Exactly.
In a lot of people's cases. But
exactly.
But yeah, like, I don't know, man. I mean, I've always felt that like having a good personality, being easy to work with and easy to get along with, is like the most powerful business card you can have.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's genuine, you know, and that's what I've found is like, you know, I'd rather play with the above average musician who's also a great hang than like a virtuoso who's a dick. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So,
For sure.
Yeah, thankfully I've been surrounded by just really great people for the most part throughout this whole thing. So
Have you ever hung out with the below average musician who was a dick? Because they're my favorite.
yeah, are they?
Oh my god, I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Oh man,
yeah, that'll happen all the time.
Yeah,
somebody with
just-
a big
just-
head and just being like, yeah, I'm fucking great at whatever instrument I play.
just hang out at the jazz conservatories.
Yeah.
man.
Bro, I've gone to like jams, and it's usually like old drummers or bass players, or really old guys. Some of the old guys in general that didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
That think that because they're older,
Yep.
that they
They
have
know everything. That's
like,
what every
they get it,
professor at UNF was to
But
me.
but
come
they're
across
probably
that a
good
lot,
though.
man.
But they're probably good though, right?
And
Versus,
just play one gig is what I'm trying to say. I want to see you play something, and they don't.
well, I've had guys at jams like
I know
playing
what you
drums or bass or whatever, like on like Last Dance and Mary Jane or something, can barely hang on it, and they want to get an attitude with me about shit. I'm just like, bro, don't cop an at like. I'm not the one. Like, I
Yeah.
know the fucking tune.
Right.
And I can play 3 chords in time. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Those are my hands down favorite people.
yeah.
They're just hilarious. I can't believe you exist. This
Yeah,
is
it's-
amazing.
I
It's
actually I've
amazing.
experienced
Yeah, I know.
that several times, and it's mind blowing, man. It's like
Yeah.
I'm almost impressed. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know what kind of world you live in, man, but I'm impressed by the fact that you show up to my gigs on a regular basis and give me all this unsolicited advice.
Oh, my God.
And you know, we'll keep practicing. You know, it's like okay, and
Keep
you know,
practicing.
and yeah, I used to get that a lot, and even at like these guitar shows and stuff, I'd be trying out guitars, and then this old timer would come up, not to be ageist here, of course, but like this guy 3 times my age would come up and play some bullshit, and then he'd like look at me and chuckle and be like, yeah, you'll get there one
You'll
day.
get
It's
there,
like,
kid.
whoa. Okay, I
have-
hope not, you know.
Yeah, I hope I get to be a little bit better than that. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mentioned this on the show a few weeks ago, but I played at this gig recently. I don't mind calling it out because I'm never playing there again after that night. But it was Dick's Wings in Arlington.
Fair enough.
And that whole
how did you reach the bottom of the fucking barrel on that one?
yeah, well, so what this guy, I won't mention his name because he books me a lot, and he's also an awesome dude, and I think he just needs someone to cover this gig.
Woof.
And so he was like, hey, and it paid well, and I was like, it's like 3 hours or whatever, paid well, and I was like, yeah, I can go and do that, whatever. And there wasn't one applause after one song that I played, which is not always.
But that's normal
it's
for you. Right?
It's fuck you. It's sometimes that is just the case where your wallpaper, but it was also like this feeling of why is this guy here that was in the air.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I do read into things that was not the case here. These people were looking at me with such disdain. And at the end of the night, he goes like, hey man, so do you know like any Smashing Pumpkins? I'm like, no, I don't really do any of that. So, oh, you know any like Pearl Jam or like? I was like, no, I don't do that. And then he was like, okay. And then after the show, after I was done, he was like, hey man, so check out my this is what's on my Touch Tunes playlist, and it's like all like music that hasn't evolved or changed in 30 years.
Yeah.
It's like stuff from like the early 90s, and that's where it ends.
Yeah.
And he was like, so this is the kind of stuff that I like to listen to. Maybe next time you're here, you can learn some of that, But just don't worry. You'll get there, man. You'll get there. I was like, motherfucker, I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've been doing this for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't need unsolicited. I don't need advice from you, some guy who probably has never left this part of town, like ever. You know what I mean? That shit drives me fucking crazy.
So I hope you don't mind me going off script, but is this kosher inside or not?
Totally. Is
Yeah,
that?
that's
No, it's just nicotine, man.
Oh,
No,
okay.
the other stuff, I can't.
I feel you.
Can't
Yeah,
do
help
that
yourself.
anymore. You'll see me in the paper tomorrow if I mess with that today. But
It's a slippery slope. I feel you. Were you gonna say something? Look, like you had another good story.
yeah, it's just it's funny how many armchair gurus there are out there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, for every great musician out there, there's 100 YouTube commenters. You know what I mean? Whether it's in person or literally on YouTube.
Well, that's my quote, and you can quote me on this quote. That's the worst part about music is that everybody likes it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good, man. I like that.
Because if it was just only musicians liked music, like the same way that any other hobby works, like sports or it's like nobody would give a shit, but everybody likes music. So.
Yeah.
What was that one gig that you
So
and
there's
I
always
played?
gonna be somebody there.
What was that one gig that you and I played, and it was like your first time ever singing a song in public, and you did "Creep" by Radiohead.
Was that? Is that?
It's Mellow Mushroom, I think, in Avondale.
Oh yeah.
And this chick comes up to you and just straight up goes, "Boo!"
Yeah, right in
Oh,
my face.
Right in your face.
But it wasn't because I sounded bad. It was because of the selection of the song. She
is
was
that
like,
what you
play
think it
something,
was?
play something current. Play something current. No, she wasn't. And she was hammered, and she had Peter Pants.
She literally pissed herself at the bar.
and
Hey.
nobody was hanging out with her. But yeah, I mean, that's how zen about it though. I was just like, and she was like, while I was singing, just yelling boo and giving me a thumbs down. I was just like,
so funny.
I like every one of my nightmares coming true at once. I'm like, yeah, but I got down with it. I'm like, I'm really glad that was the first time. You know what I mean? It's
Consider
only
the
up,
source,
it's uphill
I
from
guess.
or downhill. How does it work?
It's easier from here.
It's easier, so downhill. Yeah, it's down. But if you say downhill,
But if you
it's
say
bad.
downhill, it's bad. Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
it was just gonna be the same.
Yeah.
It's
just a straight.
Yeah, like that. But yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you about
No, that
the
was
YouTube
good, man.
comments and everything like that. But yeah, that's the worst part about music is that everybody likes
Everybody
it.
likes
without a doubt.
It's true. So when did you start getting involved with the 7-string? What kind of took you down that road?
So I went to see the Benedetto Players concert in Savannah in 2004, I think it was. And there's this guitarist named Howard Alden, who was really, I mean, there were a couple other 7-string players there. Bucky Pizzarelli was playing there,
Okay.
and he passed last year. That guy was an absolute legend. His son, John, is just another brilliant, again, just as nice of a guy as he is, a brilliant musician. But Howard Alden is especially really stood out because he was really just taking advantage of that extra low range of the instrument. And I was like, damn, I need to do that. And so like 7 years later when I could afford one, I bought a Benedetto, the bass model. Bravo is what it's called, but it's a 7-string model.
Is that 7-string tuned down like a 5-string bass?
So it's
to
an
the beat?
A.
Oh, it's an A. It's
Yeah,
oh, wow.
yeah. And so the
Interesting.
George Van Epps was the first sort of American player to sort of you know, kind of like the pioneer of the 7-string guitar back in the 30s and 40s, like way back in the day. And
And that's different than a baritone guitar?
it is, yeah. So it's all standard tuning and then the low A on the bottom, which, I mean, it would stand to reason.
I've never seen or heard that then.
It should tune to a B just like a 5-string bass. That would make sense. But I guess, like, jazz musicians are lazy, you know. We just you already know how the A string works and how the chords are built up. It's not that steep of a learning curve, man. It wasn't, you know. And but yeah, at that time I was playing a lot of duo gigs with horn players and singers and a lot more solo gigs, and I was like, why not just add a little extra, you know, octave or so to what I can do, so I can just sort of round out the sound, and the goal for me is to try and just sound like the whole band all at once on one instrument. And that's kind of like, as an accompanist especially, a really important, you know, sort of tool to have in your skill set.
Definitely.
But that's like a fifth down, so you got to be making these like giant shapes then, right?
Some of them,
that's crazy to me. Yeah, I was like, okay, E, A, that's 1, 2. No, I'm just kidding. I bet it's the fourth all the way up until you get to B again.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't look down, man. You'll be all right. that's the advice that I got initially.
Interesting.
So
I gotta see you play that. Is that the guitar you have in here?
yeah, that's the one.
Okay, afterwards I gotta take a look at it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Give it a whirl.
Yeah, so was it like a whole different thing for you to wrap your head around when you were learning bass lines and doing melodies at the same time, or is that something you were already kind of doing?
It was something that I was already doing to a degree. Joe Pass was one of my biggest influences, man, and he's just like the godfather of at least solo jazz guitar, and was sort of pioneered that walking the bass line and playing the chords at the same time. And so I had already gotten a pretty decent experience doing that, but then afterwards, like, you know, depending on what rig I'm running through, like the low bass string can literally sound like an upright bass sometimes. So it's like I really started stealing all these bassisms from people, you know, just little subtle things that, like, you know, upright bassists would do, and that really rounded it out for me. So yeah, there was definitely a learning curve on top of like the extra string. Right. You know, there was trying to make the bass sound more authentic at the same time was the extra sort of learning curve there.
Something else I admire about jazz, or classical musicians too, for that matter, jazz musicians and classical musicians, people that like had to go through that process, is your determination and your willingness to learn something new and do it the right way. You know, it's like a lot of like, I tried to do some of the bass line and melody stuff or self-accompaniment stuff for a little while, and I just gave up on it. I was like, I don't, you know, I'm like, realistically, I'm probably never going to use this, so I'm going to try and focus on something else. I guess you are obviously using it and it's working for you, but just like your ability to like sit down and just do it and just learn it, you know?
Yeah, I think at least initially for me, it was like a mixture of being a purist and also like being afraid of it, which sounds weird, but being afraid of the unknown. Like I've tried using loop pedals, man, and those things just fucking, I don't know if I've got this like built-in allergy to them or something. Really? But like, well, at first I don't want to hear my mistakes being played back to me over and over. That's one thing. But then like I tried working with one, and it just I don't know, man. I mean, I'm pretty technologically inept when it comes to, you know, gear essentially. But I think just because I had already worked out that bass line and chord thing, that it was like, let me just like try and dive deeper into that, you know. And there's a guitarist named Tuck Andrus, you know, Tuck and Patty. I'm sure you probably a lot of people have heard of him, but he took the whole Joe Pass thing to another level and was playing Michael Jackson tunes and like all these other pop tunes that people recognize, and it's like, okay, well, this is how. If you learn how to play solo instrumental guitar, like in my opinion, you'll never be without a gig. You know, if you can put together 3 hours worth of that kind of material,
you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
And he just happens to be the best at it, you know, out of everybody. He does more with 6 strings than I could probably ever do with 7.
Really?
So, and then there's another guy who reminded me of him big time. His name's Jake Reichbart, and he lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan. His YouTube channel has like 600 videos on it, and it's mostly pop tunes, like, you know, rock songs from the 70s and all the way up to, you know, Pharrell, you know what I mean? Like, he does everything. And I was really inspired when I discovered him on YouTube, and I was like, okay, wait, you can like literally arrange any song that has a melody onto the guitar and make it like, you know, the whole band all at once. And as long as you make it recognizable, then it's really a marketable thing to have.
Yeah. Do you feel like some of the reason why you did that was out of necessity, or was there
Absolutely.
just really you just didn't want to rely on other people anymore?
Well, I mean, and not just being a solo musician, but just learning that repertoire, because he comes from a jazz background as well. And, I when I do think about it, I mean, it may be kind of like a loner sort of like approach to playing music. But, yeah, when the club only has to pay one guy, I mean, you can make decent money doing it. And
Totally.
you don't have to worry about, managing other band members or anything like that, And so yeah, that is the majority of what I've been doing for the past several years. But
Do you miss playing with bands at all?
I'll take a pay cut to play with a band any day, man. And that's why I love playing at the Blue Jay. That's why I love doing, even wedding band gigs. Is like the camaraderie. You can't put a price on that.
Yeah, man. Like the jamming and like just.
So you doing mostly solo gigs then for cover stuff, but you don't sing?
I don't sing, no.
And
no.
they still pay you?
Okay.
No offense, I've been trying.
I get it.
I've gotten turned away. They're like, no. Like we want singers and everything like that. But
yeah, and I've definitely been turned away from a lot of stuff too. But
I'm awful at singing too.
No, it's all good, man. I mean, I'm sure that if I did sing in an even halfway passable manner, I'd like triple my marketability. But like. I do feel like, at the risk of tooting my own horn, I've kind of carved out my own sort of thing here, at least in this area, where, like, if people want solo instrumental guitar, like, I know a guy,
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my calling card, I guess you could say, for the past 10 years or so.
Now, do you know of any places where Billy can just go and wank for 3 hours on the keyboards without singing and get paid for it? Because we need to get Billy working as a musician full time here, because it's just going to make my life easier at the end.
I'm trying. That's my goal this year, anyways.
So 3 hours of keyboard wanking. I don't want to name any venues. I'll just I'll say they're out there though.
There's definitely a piano bar in St. Augustine that I've seen next to A1A.
Okay.
I've seen just solo piano guys, and they have a nice grand piano.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking
about.
You don't have to. Yeah.
You should just call them.
Yeah, I forgot about that place because it's been closed. Everything's still closed, but I am trying. I actually am getting better at singing, but it's still just like I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's not my thing. I didn't start singing. Like I guess everybody starts singing when they're like a kid and everything like that. But I didn't work really hard to be a singer. I worked really hard to be a piano player, and that's what I'm good at. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's like making a really great cake and then just smothering it with tomato sauce. That's what it's like for me, fucking singing songs. So I don't want to do that. I'd much rather But I was relating to how you play with the bass. Bass string, that 7th string, that's like piano, like 100%. That's why I learned how to play all those pop tunes and everything like that with the bass on the bottom and everything, which has hindered me playing in a band, and now I've gotten away from using my left hand at all for bass anyways, staying above C4 and never playing below it.
Right, exactly. No, I think they call that pianist envy.
Yeah,
like most guitar players have it. Like, I mean, there's a lot of approaches. A lot of my approaches wanting to sort of mimic a piano player, but I can bend strings. So.
I didn't know that was an option. I can just play piano and not sing and do that.
Absolutely, man.
Shit, sign me up.
Yeah. We're also working on Billy playing up in the higher register as well. I think we could call that.
Did you just have like a?
Is there?
Did you just drop out right there? That's literally what I was just talking about.
Zoned out.
Anyways.
But if piano players could emulate guitar players more often, that'd be a cool thing to do.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
why we invented the synthesizer. It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
they tried to with the guitar, but that's about as far as I've seen.
So I used to run a jam.
Never seen anybody do it well.
There's a story here. There's a good story here. Okay.
So
guitar jam?
Nothing so crazy, but I used to run a jam in Jack's Beach when I first moved to Jacksonville.
Where?
At Harmonious Monks. It was a Thursday night blues jam. Yeah, and I used to run it. It was me, a keyboard player. Aaron was playing bass, and then my bass player at the time, Sean, was playing bass. Or Aaron was playing drums.
Yeah,
sorry.
I understood what you meant, but
and then, but so on some of these tunes, this keyboard player would like walk away from his keyboard and pick up a guitar and just start going ham with the most abrasive sound. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, and he's a really good dude.
Right.
But so that's why I'm not mentioning his name. But like he would like bring this guitar and just start going to town. I'm just like, do you have ears because this sounds terrible.
Do you know the history of the guitar?
No.
Do you know the first person to like kind of like come up with it was a synth player for James Brown, and they literally just took like a Moog Prodigy, like I have sitting there, or I can't remember what it was, like a Moog Rogue, and they just made it so you could play it this way. Sorry,
No
if you can't hear it, it looks like you're playing a guitar. Sorry,
Yeah.
but it weighed like 30 pounds, and it's just like you're just hanging around your neck, and it was just like like 10 keys, and it's just stupid.
Yeah.
But I don't know one person that does it well. Like it just doesn't
I just don't know
work.
why. I just don't know why you couldn't do it well. If you could, if you can play keyboard, just put the same technology into something.
Yeah.
That's like that, and then make it sound like.
Well, they
that.
already do everything. That I mean, like the keyboard and synthesizer came first, and then the guitar came later. It's not like they invented anything.
No, I understand, but
And
why
then
does it
you
always
look
sound
so
bad though? That's what I'm
stupid
saying.
because you're only using one hand and everything like that, and it looks just so stupid playing like this on top of it.
Yeah.
With your left hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's dumb.
I honestly, man, I mean, Chick Corea, rest in peace, and
Yeah, he just passed away a couple
Herbie
weeks ago.
Hancock, I think they get a pass, but that's only like.
Did Chick Corea play guitar?
Yeah, he did
No way.
with his electric band. But like, if it's a 2-hour concert, yeah, okay, you can play like one song on that, but please go back to the piano after that. So
I've been probably like a lot of people now. I kind of went back in and started diving into Chick Corea after he passed, just because I wanted to kind of go deeper on it. And I saw your interpretation of Spain, by the way. It's pretty dope how you were able to do that.
I was
Thanks,
about
man.
to ask, did he write that song, or is that
Yep.
a jazz
He wrote it.
original that he
That's-
came?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's his tune, yeah.
I never knew that.
I transcribed that song a long time ago, or not the whole song, just like the main melody
Yeah.
line.
Yeah,
it's
it's killer, man.
insane.
Yep.
So I just went back and I relearned it again
Yeah.
because I just wanted to, do the just because.
Uh-huh.
And I started listening to all of Chick Corea's catalog, and it's like,
Man.
just I don't understand how his brain worked, man. He was such an amazing player.
It's absolutely one of a kind.
And
yeah.
composers and just like arrange, it's just everything about him, man. He was just like he's an alien.
Yep.
Him and Herbie Hancock are just aliens.
Yeah, those two are in that tier of like a handful of people who have ever touched keys, like, and Mozart. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this.
And the modern incarnation of that would be like Jacob Collier or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
It's just like that guy is just, I don't even know where his head's at.
man.
That dude's just doing shit. I saw him and Herbie Hancock were having a conversation one time.
Yep.
And they were talking about like theory,
Mm-hmm.
and Jacob Collier starts going off, and Herbie's just like, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
it just took him a second to process how deep Jacob Collier was going with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Herbie knows all this shit, but it's just like, of course, the next generation's gonna take it a step further, and Herbie's, I think, just took him a second to
Yeah.
realize like how deep he was going. I was just like,
Have you seen where he'll be playing something and he'll MIDI record the notes that he's playing, and he'll just write messages?
really?
Yeah, like he'll write like a word out.
Oh yeah, no.
Have you seen that before? I'm just like, what the? How do you do that? how can you're visualizing what the notes are going to look like in horizontal form?
Because he's bored. That's all it is. He's
and
just,
then he
music
just
is
plays
just boring
it,
for
and
him.
it's not like he's just playing random ass notes. It's like all in key or jazz or whatever. But
Everything's in key with jazz.
Yeah.
Everything's a mistake.
that's true.
It
Anyway,
is.
Yeah,
it's very true.
he's nuts.
Yeah.
And he could sing. The stuff he does with the harmonies singing too is ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
That's what really I like. As a piano player, I'm just like, he's doing some crazy stuff, but it's not like these like huge like leaps of like technical crap like you see like these classical pianists playing like Franz Liszt or whatever, and like that, or like Rachmaninoff or something. And it's like the hardest thing in the world.
Right,
That
right.
to me, it's just like, oh my god, that's incredible. Jacob Collier, he doesn't really do that, but the arrangements that he comes up with is crazy. But
Yeah. Have you heard his arrangement in my room?
Yes.
Oh my God, the
Yes.
harmonies on that.
That record, man, that was I think his debut record, but he has an original song on there called Hideaway, and it's all stringed instruments and like some hand like percussion, like I don't know if it's a cajon or whatever it is, but it's like it's the perfect balance to me of like a song that could be popular and accessible to the average listener while still doing like 5/4 rhythms and shit like
Yeah.
that. Like nobody has any idea what's going on. They're just dancing, you know?
Right.
Like, but it's got enough appeal to the average listener and like plenty of appeal to the, prolific musician out there too. Like,
Right.
So
That's kind of like the mastery of using odd times is making it sound like it's not an odd time.
Yep.
You know, that was something that I learned really early on. One of the first bands that I formed was with a friend of mine. He was like a prog drummer, but also like studied jazz and all that. But his thing was prog rock and also funk. So he was just like, Gavin Harrison is his favorite drummer of all time. He was from Porcupine Tree, who has like a book on rhythmic illusions and all this shit. So we'd be playing at this time I could barely play like I could barely solo at all, and I'm like playing I'm writing simple 4-chord songs, and him and the bass player at the time was like a jazz studies major at and they would just go on these tangents behind my singer-songwriter tunes. I'm just like, but then we'd sit down afterwards, and he would tell me, he's like, the key to odd time stuff is that you want to make it sound like it's not in an odd time. And then he'd show me like these tunes that he was like these EDM tunes that he was producing, and he's like, check this out. He'd be showing me all this 5/4 kind of polyrhythmic shit. And it's like you couldn't even hear that was happening. It was so like hidden, and it's so because then like your ear's catching something but doesn't know what it's catching, which is cool,
Yeah. And I feel like Vinny Colaiuta is like a master of that. And I didn't really start getting into like Sting until I was probably in my mid-20s, but I was like, holy shit, this is heavy. Like, this is some serious shit that he's doing. And like,
yeah, that guy fucks.
He's got a, what's that?
That guy fucks. For sure. Sting's awesome.
But yeah, and I realized it's like, okay, maybe he isn't just marketing to like, women in their 50s, but like, because I mean, he's just a badass musician, man. He did a whole record where it's like almost all the tunes are in odd meters, and like, there's this one that's in 7 that doesn't feel like it's in 7. It's like him and Kenny Kirkland and fucking Vinny, man. I mean, these guys are just magic.
Have you heard he was on one of Herbie's records. He did a collaboration record. It was the Imagine project. I think it was either on that one or it was on Possibilities, where Sting did a song. They did a song called Sister Moon.
Sister Moon. Yep.
That is some funky ass 6/8 shit, man. It took me forever to figure out that was in 6/8.
There's you're right. It doesn't feel like it, but it is.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
And I mean, Sting's his vocal work on that tune, particularly, is just like, man, there's like layers and layers of like what he can do vocally,
totally. He's such an underrated musician. I feel like he's not an underrated songwriter in the sense that people give, like, he's got his accolades, like he's like a world-renowned songwriter, and obviously The Police, but like as far as his capabilities on the bass and just across the board, he was kind of like Prince. Like Prince is another one of those guys that could just kind of do whatever he wanted on whatever instrument he wanted. It also had this might be another unpopular opinion. I can't stand Prince's voice, but he's one of the greatest musicians of all time.
Absolutely.
And also had technically an amazing voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very unpopular.
Yeah, I should write that one down for one of the other episodes.
Man. And there's this other, I mean, not to go off too far on a tangent, but there's a musician named, hey, all right, we're already there.
We're there.
Raul Midon, have you heard of him? So he's on the Possibilities album, and they do a version of I Just Called to Say I Love You, the Stevie Wonder tune, which is just like one of his most basic, like, bubblegum pop songs, but man, when I say they completely reinvent it to be a totally different song, like, Raul is he's a blind singer, songwriter, guitar player, but he plays his guitar like a drum almost. Okay. And he's just, I mean, if he was just a guitar player, he would be one of the best guitar players. If he was just a singer, he would be one of the best singers. If he was just a songwriter, but he's all three, And
he's like the best at all of them.
Yeah, fuck that guy. But no, he's they do a version of that song that's just like, I mean, I'll have to send you a link or something.
Yeah,
but it's just so beautiful, man.
I have that record. I've probably heard the song. I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the Imagine project and Possibilities were so revealing of a lot of artists. You know,
very much.
John
Mayer too.
What about
John Mayer? Yeah, that's Stitched Up. The song we do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do like that song.
Yeah, I love the bridge too, where it does like these 2/5s all the way back to A. It's kind of cool. But also John Legend and Pink did that Peter Gabriel tune. Don't Give Up, I think it's called.
Yep, that's the one.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Pink, really?
Yeah, man.
She's a badass, bro.
She's-
She is a straight badass.
Oh my god! Like I listened to that song last time I listened to it, I probably teared up honestly, just because like the two of them together, and I didn't realize how amazing of a singer she was. I knew she could sing. Obviously, she was very successful, and like I kind of liked her image and her brand. Like when I was younger, I was
me
like she's
too.
kind of like a badass chick. You
Like
know?
how the eyes and exclamation mark.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good branding.
That's good branding. Yeah.
But I just didn't realize how talented she was as a singer as well.
I never do either. What's this? I don't even know the song she does. But
It's-
whatever.
It's that song "Don't Give Up" by Peter Gabriel. I think that's what it's called. And her and John Legend do with Herbie Hancock.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not
just
sure
like-
that's hitting the top 40 though. What was she get famous singing?
Oh,
Man.
God damn it!
Yeah,
shoot.
exactly.
I was really young when she was
No, I
big.
I remember too. Isn't it like I'm coming out? That's right.
Was that
So
her?
you better
out,
get
'cause
this party
better
started.
get
Yeah,
this
that
party
was
started.
That one too. Yeah, I
I'm
remember that
coming
one.
out. Yeah,
just like a pill. That was another one. That
Yeah,
she,
yeah.
That was a great song, man.
I can't remember.
Anyway.
Pink.
Well,
Full
before-
circle. Back to Pink.
Have you ever tasted heaven in a glass? Do you pine for the hoppiest brews and palest ales? Do you like food? If so, then Wicked Barley is the oasis that your mouth has been wishing for, walking into the complete barren wasteland that is your life. Wicked Barley is located in Jacksonville, Florida, nestled on the banks of Goodbeast Creek. Wicked Barley aims to provide its guests with a wicked experience, offering over 18 house-brewed beers, ciders, and meads on tap. They also have an expansive gastropub-style food menu, including burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. Whether you are a newcomer or a craft beer connoisseur, there's a little something for everyone at Wicked Barley. Visit them at 4100 Bay Meadows Drive and tell them Bottom of the Bill sent you.
All right. Well, you guys want to get into some unpopular opinions?
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna go back and forth, and then you just think of one at the end. If you haven't been thinking already, we've already said a lot of unpopular opinions
Okay.
today, but
No,
Shit.
I got.
but we
several
saved the
of them
best
left.
for last. That's yours, but
Oh, well, we'll
But anyways,
see.
who lets it out? You know what? Welcome back to the podcast. He's been gone for what 3 weeks now.
2 weeks.
Well,
3
it'll be
weeks,
3 weeks
yeah.
when this comes out
Yeah, I know.
because he's been sick. So I'll let you go first.
All right, thanks. What a guy.
Yeah.
In-N-Out burgers are not that great.
I've never been, so I don't know.
That
but
might not be a great one because they don't even exist on the East Coast. So
why don't they exist on the East Coast?
Because they're not that great.
Just put one over here. Like not
Um,
even in New York. There's not one.
All right,
No.
so they're consistently above average. I'll put them in that
Oh,
category.
you had In-N-Out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so like that was the one of the main things my girl and I had to do when we were over in Pebble
California.
Beach. Yeah, like yeah, and I mean there's like 3 menu items. There's like
Yeah.
the burger, the fries, and the shake, and it's like it's real simple, man.
Yeah.
And I see him back there making the fries with this crazy like potato chopper thing, and I don't know, it's an experience, you know.
It's an
not something I
experience.
would eat on a regular basis.
And you got to wait for like 3 hours in line to get through.
No.
too,
Yeah.
because they
No,
don't
it
run that
wasn't
shit
that
like
bad,
Chick-fil-A does. I'll say that much right now.
Oh, man. I've been craving Chick-fil-A for like ever. There's not a close one in Riverside. It sucks. Mine first one is TikTok is okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's
I
okay.
enjoy it. It's funny as
it's
fuck.
fine. It's fine with me. I was super against it, and then I gave it a shot. I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
I'd
It's
say,
okay.
I'd say, given the current
It's
trends,
okay.
I'd say
It's
it's a pretty
just
popular
okay, though.
opinion. I'd
Huh?
say, given the current trends, it's a pretty popular opinion.
It's okay.
TikTok is taking over. It's
Yeah.
the new thing.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, so my second unpopular opinion is, which by the way, I just created a TikTok. I've had it created for like a year now. I just haven't uploaded any content.
Why is it called
But
TikTok?
I'm just
though?
uploading
I'm
content
not
now,
done
so
with my
follow me.
opinion. Why is it called? Why is it called TikTok? I don't
know.
understand. It has nothing to do with a clock.
So I get it. So
Zero
Andrew Schultz.
things.
Are you familiar with Andrew Schultz at all?
I know the name.
Okay, he's a really funny comedian and has a podcast, several podcasts. Anyways, he had Alex Jones in the podcast
Oh,
recently.
cool. Yeah, I gotta
It
watch
was
that.
so fucking wild and funny. But Alex Jones goes like, "Oh, they call it TikTok because it's China telling America that they're running out of time."
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Wow.
Does
It's
TikTok mean
TikTok,
something in Mandarin that I don't know?
No. Could also be Cantonese though. Don't be so narrow-minded, Bill. They speak 2 languages in China.
For real.
Anyways,
I didn't know that.
They're like, what? Really?
my second unpopular opinion. Are you done with your opinion, Bill? Or can we move on from your opinion?
Yes.
Okay. Uncut Gems is probably Adam Sandler's best movie
Yeah, I can think like
on Netflix.
I like that movie a lot, but he's the most annoying person in that movie. I don't like him at all.
Well, I didn't say I liked him in the movie. I just said like his
Oh, that's the
character's
best movie he's been in?
It's the best movie that he's done.
Yeah, probably.
I haven't seen it. That's recent, right?
Yeah, it came
Couple
out
years?
like beginning of quarantine.
It's really
Okay.
good, but you have to like sit down and pay attention the whole time. You can't like put it on and be like look at your phone and everything.
Right.
Like that.
Which
Otherwise
I
you won't
like
get it.
movies that are involved that you have to pay attention to.
Mhm.
I don't know about anyone else out there,
It's
but
really good. It's like you'll watch that movie and you will have a panic attack watching it.
yeah,
And that's a whole. They make the movie to make you uncomfortable. It's like a
Okay.
new genre. Of
So
movie.
like Requiem for a Dream.
It's
something
kind of like
yeah.
that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually it's very similar to that. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
He hasn't seen anything.
I
He's
haven't
never
seen
seen
it.
Star Wars.
Just make
Requiem
sure
for a
that
Dream just sounds really depressing.
make
and I
sure
don't
you
wanna
got
watch it.
somebody
for
who can
sure,
like
it's the
hold
most
you
depressing-
for like an hour after you watch
Yeah,
that
it's the
movie,
most
man.
depressing
bad.
movie of all
It's-
time.
it's
That's
rough.
why I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
I need to
don't.
like
You
constantly.
don't need
Like,
to.
I can't watch a movie that's gonna put me in that state of mind. I won't be productive
Actually,
at
I
all.
would recommend don't watch it.
Yeah, don't.
If
Just,
you're having a good week, don't watch that movie.
if you're having a bad week, especially don't watch that.
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what to tell you. All right, my second one is I wish the radio would come back to the way it was like back in the 90s and stuff like that, where nowadays it's like you can just stream stuff and everything. And I think that's pretty neat. But at the same time, like you there was something about like having the radio on and being like, oh fuck, check out this new song, and then I don't know, it just made it more special. I feel like there's so much music now. You don't get that like special like Christmas morning feeling when like your fucking song comes on. You're like, fuck, there's no way I could have listened to this song except for right now.
Yeah.
And
Or if
I
you just
like,
bought
and,
the
and
record.
you're like, yes, I'd fucking blast it. Yeah, like I miss that.
So you like it? You liked it when there was gatekeepers. You like the gatekeepers.
Well, and now I'm like older and realize like, oh shit, like they were like fucking whatever they wanted to show you. They were in charge of everything, and that's why it's fallen and gone to like next to nothing now.
It's so much more decentralized.
I understand, but like at the same time, like I wish there was something like that still, but
there is still-
it's gone.
Look
You
at
can't
Sil-
bring it back.
So I mean, Silk Sonic just released a new song,
Who?
and that's Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars.
Oh, that's the name of
released
the
that song,
band?
and that song just blew up. And they just performed at the Grammys. Granted, you can listen to it whenever you want.
And I'm
but
sure
that
there
song
was-
like the new pop
Yeah.
sensation. I mean, you know.
And
So that still happens. Just,
What do you mean
Just
that-
not in the sense where it's only going to be heard on the radio or if you buy the record. You know.
I still don't understand how that's similar. You mean like that the big wigs up in the CEOs, Warner Brothers, were like, you're gonna listen to this song now?
Yeah.
Oh.
It still happens.
Okay.
But like we also just have it's
How?
just in the sense where that song was obviously produced by a big time producer. It was obviously
Yeah, but
done
they-
through a record label
Yeah.
by people that have a lot of money invested into the outcome of this single and the album and the product as a whole. And so that still happens. Just now we have other options as well.
They
I
had
guess.
to have already been booked at the Grammys like before the single dropped too.
Oh,
Like,
totally.
way before.
This has been probably in the works now for the last year or two.
yeah, probably.
Maybe 2 years even, you know. Because I think about the promo rollouts and shit too. That shit takes a lot of time, man.
Yeah.
All that music video and everything, and then also they're just doing it in the
Such
middle
a
of
good
COVID.
video.
Like, how is that supposed to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the promo rollouts probably took 6 months just to even think of before they started putting it all together, which takes like another whole. It's like I'm like just like doing all this research. We're about to release an album in the next few months, so I'm like doing all this research on all this shit, and I'm just getting anxiety thinking about what they all went through
Dude.
to do something at that level.
It's crazy. They have teams and teams of people
I
working
know.
on that shit.
I
man.
know. God damn it.
All right, you're next.
How are we gonna compete,
Oh no, wait.
Bill?
Huh?
How are we gonna compete?
Sell your soul, dude.
Yeah.
I just need to sign. We just need to sign with a record label. Those days aren't
That's what he
fully
means.
over yet.
I don't know.
That's what he means. Yeah.
Start TikTok dancing.
Yeah. All right. Dave Matthews Band is one of the most underrated bands by musicians. Ah, yes. I love
I'm
that you're
confused.
on my side.
Wait.
about this.
I'm confused. Underrated by musicians?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Because people like them, like regular people like them, but musicians hate on them so much.
Oh, musicians don't like them.
Yeah.
But you're a musician.
Yeah.
So what's
Let's
your
say
deal?
the general populace of musicians. The
Oh, I
general
see.
consensus amongst musicians is that
General
they're kind of
populace
lame.
period doesn't
And
like
then,
them.
and you're right. There's a lot of people out there who think they're kind of cheesy and lame. But like, if you've ever played an instrument or written a song, you would know. And like, ever heard like a Dave Matthews record, you would know that the songwriting is genius and
Why
the
do you think
musicianship is so like next level.
Yeah.
Why do you
know
think
what I mean?
people don't like him?
It's popular.
Huh?
What?
Probably because he's popular.
That too.
He's popular?
That's part of it. That has
Also,
to be
his
part of
voice.
it.
I think people don't like his voice either. I like his voice, and I get that that's an acquired taste. I hate Dave Matthews when I was a kid.
Me too.
And then because I was associated to like my parents.
Let's get into it.
And then
Why
it
do
was
people
like-
hate Dave? I'll tell
and
you why I
then
hate Dave
A friend of mine
Matthews.
showed me the Big Whiskey and the Grugrucht King album, which came out like in 2007 or
This
8
just
or
makes
something.
me just do this face. Like, fuck. Like, I don't want
And-
to hear that.
And it was like, the first song was "Shake Me Like a Monkey," and oh my god, like Carter Beauford's drums on that. It's just an insane funk arrangement, and it's just like, and they were so diverse. You know, it was funk, it was singer-songwriter ballads. It's like across the board, they just do everything.
Yeah.
You're making me feel old, man. Like his early stuff was like my high school days, man.
Oh,
Like
really?
Under the Table and Dreaming,
No
and
shit.
Crash, and
Oh, I didn't
Before
mean
These
to make you
Credit
feel old,
Streets.
my bad.
It's all good, man. at least, yeah. Well, maybe. Well, anyway, that's a whole nother story. But no, like Crush, I feel like is probably their greatest song, man.
It's a
And
great
that was on,
song.
you know, just the bass line, the opening bass line, and just because it's so much fun to play, and it's like asymmetrical. It's not like a typical, you know, this is this section, this is this section, and it's
Yeah.
all like equates to this 48 bar, you know, thing of perfection, or not 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, he's got enough. I feel like to appeal to the jazz crowd, he's got enough to appeal to the rock crowd. You know, in terms of other musicians.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, I mean, now he's got Jeff Coffin playing with him, man. Holy shit, that guy can play.
Oh yeah, and talk
Yeah.
about a band that utilizes odd times and the way people can digest it.
Yep.
I mean, like, and then like I feel like Carter Beauford just feels everything in 6/8. You know what I mean? So even if it's in 4/4, he's just giving you a 6/8 feel. It's just, that's why it grooves so hard. He's so busy.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow Dave Matthews is also lyrically so busy,
Yeah.
but they just make
I
it
think
work.
that's what it is. That might be a lot of people's problems. They're just like, dude, what is this? Like, just slow down. And it's not even slow down. They're playing so much so quickly. And then on top of that, they're like, hey, I'm going to fucking scream gibberish at you for 30.
This is coming from a guy who can't listen to anything that's not
What?
house music that's under 150 BPMs.
That's not necessarily true.
necessarily true.
Necessarily.
140.
140. I'll get down to 140.
My big thing with Dave Matthews
Sorry,
Band
170.
is that his name is Dave Matthews. That's it. Like
That's
it should be called the Dave Matthews' Band. It doesn't make any sense. His name is plural, and they're like, okay, it's not okay. Imagine if John Mayer had a band.
not
It's
plural.
It would not be called the John Mayer Band, right?
Why not?
Well, I'm sorry. It would be called the John Mayer Band, but it's not called the Dave Matthews Band. It's called Dave Matthews Band.
I see.
There's no the at the beginning of it,
Mm.
and so it makes. I'm just like,
So that's what does it, huh?
yeah. I was like, I was reading it. I'm like, yeah, I'm out because of that.
Billy's stream
No,
of
I'm s-
consciousness runs about as deep as a puddle I stepped in this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my driveway.
I'm really
Yeah.
sorry about that
So-
puddle, though.
That's
All
it.
right, my last unpopular opinion is John Mayer is hilarious.
Is that unpopular?
So
He's probably got a lot of followers on TikTok.
So he
that probably
just-
also think he's hilarious.
he just started. Like
He's probably like 1 million followers
no,
already.
well, I don't know how many he's got, but like I'm not even messing around. Like I think he started about a month ago.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 months ago, and he's one of the funniest people on there without a fucking doubt.
Really? I'm gonna follow him.
Yeah, well, he doesn't really have a lot up there, but just this kind of stuff that he has is just hilarious to me. So, I have a feeling like he's probably the coolest guy on the planet. I just don't like his music subjectively. That's all it
He's-
comes down to. And I bet he's a great guitar player too.
Yeah.
I just don't like his songs. That's all it comes down to.
I've heard
I'm sorry.
It's
I've heard interviews with him on podcasts and stuff like that.
Is
and
he kind of a
he's-
tool?
No, he's just he knows how talented he is and how good he is. That's
Oh.
kind of which is
He ain't
it's
humble.
he's not very good at pretending to be humble. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, fuck it. Like,
Do you get what I'm saying? Have you ever
I
heard
know
interviews
exactly
with him?
what you're saying.
And he tries, and I give him credit for trying to be humble. But like he doesn't sell it to me. It's like I hear that you're saying that you're humble, but I don't believe you. I believe
Yeah.
that
if
you
you
think
have
that
to
you're the
say
shit.
it, then you're definitely not humble.
No, not just like he'll say things like when he was on Krasno's podcast, he was talking about like learning all the Dead stuff, and
Yeah.
talking about Jerry Garcia's playing.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and he was putting Jerry Garcia on his pedestal, which is fine. But like I didn't believe that he felt Jerry was beyond him. I felt like
yeah.
John Mayer feels like he probably nailed the shit, which he did.
Yeah.
And in some cases, another unpopular opinion, did it better than Jerry did. And I think that he knows that, but it's just saying it.
You have to say that, otherwise they'll crucify him. All the dead fans.
I'm not saying that he has to say that how he actually feels. I'm just saying that I don't buy his humility. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's probably a lie. What he thinks.
It can be off-putting when somebody realizes how badass they are.
Yeah,
and they don't really skirt around that at all.
Yeah,
they're just like, I'm a bad motherfucker. You're
What-
lucky to have me on your podcast.
It's like literally every athlete on the planet acts that way.
One time I made this
interviews.
mistake because I had partied a little too hard after a show.
Ruh-roh.
And there was this jam afterwards, and I it was a really good jam, right? But I remember feeling like I played especially well that night, and I had again partied a little bit, and afterwards I was just like walking around the festival going, I fucking crushed it up there, and I know I turned some people off that night.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I was like mostly joking because that is a ridiculous thing to say,
Right,
but if you
right.
don't know me, then you don't know that I'm joking either, you know what I mean? So it's just like, whoops. Anyways,
What do you
what's
got?
your unpopular
Yeah, you
opinion?
got one?
So I got a couple that just come to mind.
That's
Daniel
fine.
Craig is the best James Bond out of all of them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is
I
unpopular.
agree.
I disagree.
I was just at the beginning of the year was rewatching all the ones with him in it, and the second one is amazing. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
That's a very unpopular opinion.
You don't like
At
it?
least for me. I thought Quantum of Solace was crap, but I thought Casino
Wait.
Royale, Quantum of Solace is the one after.
Where's the one where at the very end he's like hanging out at his old house and they had like that big ol' fight with helicopters? I can't remember.
I don't know, but I feel like Casino Royale, not only is Daniel Craig the best Bond, I feel like Casino Royale is one of the best movies ever made.
Well, that
Really?
one's pretty
Yeah.
good, but
I haven't watched it,
I've
but
just seen it
It's
so
his
many,
first one.
so many
Okay,
times.
yeah.
But you like him better than Sean Connery though?
Yeah, but I say that with this like little footnote, like every movie that he's done other than Casino Royale, I thought Quantum of Solace was crap. I thought Skyfall was crap. I thought Spectre was okay, but like Casino Royale really just like cemented him as like, okay, that's James Bond from now on. For me,
I see what you're saying.
I'm
I'm a big Timothy Dalton guy.
he was
you
good.
are.
License
I'm
to
just
Kill,
joking.
right?
He only had the one.
He's
movie,
all right,
though.
man.
But I
passable.
actually
girl-
never watched it.
The
I
girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yep.
Yeah, that movie's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
Daniel
like
Craig.
3.5 hours long though.
It's really good.
Damn,
I
was
saw
like,
the original ones from Sweden. There was like it was a trilogy, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, they just put them all together.
Yeah.
I heard that was like really good. The Swedish versions
It
were
was
much better.
Have you seen
Really
the
good.
original? Have you seen the new one that they
I
made
haven't
with
seen-
Daniel Craig?
No.
Good lord. Well,
Is it
fuck,
bad?
It's
Trent
just
Reznor does the
Yeah.
score.
Score.
it's amazing. Like the
Yeah.
music's awesome and everything, and then but like it is very graphic,
Yep.
like insanely graphic.
Yeah.
You know,
it's-
Tre-
it's
Don't
rough.
watch it with your girlfriend.
Trent Reznor did the score for Soul also. Did you know that?
That's right.
Really?
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I was
That
like,
doesn't make any
damn,
sense.
All right.
He pulled it off though. It sounded great.
Yeah.
But my favorite James Bond is for sure Pierce Brosnan.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Because also like that's who I grew up watching. So it was
Yeah.
like those were the movies I went to go see, like, or my dad would like bring home from Blockbuster. We'd watch them, and it was like that to me was James Bond.
Yeah.
And then I watched like
I gotta go. I'm sorry.
yeah. Are you not a Pierce Brosnan fan?
He's just like the most pretty boy James Bond there
More than
ever
Daniel
was, man.
Craig, you think
Dude,
so?
Yeah, Daniel Craig looks like he just went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson in
Yeah.
every fucking scene
He
he's
looks
in.
beat up.
Well, I guess maybe it's a nostalgia thing then. I don't know. Maybe I have to rewatch
Goldeneye
them.
was entertaining, man. I'll
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah, none of those
and-
movies are good, Anton.
Yeah.
the like you and I'll say all these new Bonds are really great, but the Goldfinger though is like one of the best movies of all time. And
It
then
was
my
good.
You Only Live Twice is my favorite one, where he goes to Japan and then fakes his own death and then has surgery to look Japanese, and they literally just put like mascara on him. And it's so cringeworthy because it's in the middle of the 60s and
Oh my
like
God.
super racist,
Wow.
but it's hilarious. And Roald Dahl actually wrote the script for it. He
No
wrote,
shit.
yeah, he wrote Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and all those other children's books,
Where the
James Giant
Sidewalk
Peach.
Ends and A Light in the Attic and wasn't
Yeah.
that rolled? No,
No,
that was
that
Shel
was
Silverstein. Never mind.
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
different.
But he
Roald
wrote
Dahl
that
did,
one too.
the BFG, right?
Yeah, the BFG
Yeah.
and Matilda. That's my favorite book.
Matilda.
Yeah.
It would be.
It was my favorite book when I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Taylor, thanks for being on the show today,
Yeah,
man.
thanks
This
Thanks
was
for
a lot of
having me,
fun.
man. This was fun.
For
I,
sure.
Didn't know what to expect, man, but just sitting here and talking shit.
We
for a couple
never
hours
really
was-
do either,
was
so.
just fun,
We
man.
never
I
know what to
enjoyed
expect,
this.
honestly. We haven't had a bad episode yet. It's always been fun.
Speak for
Good.
yourself.
So-
There's
Yeah.
there's been a couple. Though.
No, get the fuck out of here.
Nah, I'm just messing around.
Anyways, all right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time.
Adios, muchachos.